I was the guy who, when they needed to get a base because nobody could hit,
step in front of the ball.
I'm serious. I got on base more than anybody else because I just couldn't swing, so I just go pop. I'd get a base.
I'm sad that rule doesn't apply in church ball. After, we really swim, I was like, can I just get hit? You can hit me in the head, you can hit me in the face.
You eventually just gotta take one for the team.
But it doesn't apply in church softball.
Oh,
you don't get a base if you get hit?
It's so slow, it don't hurt.
You gotta take one for the team. Okay, so right now there's a big debate on whether cheerleading is a sport or not. Bridget says, yes, it is.
It definitely is.
Austin, is cheerleading a sport?
Yes.
Answer carefully.
No.
Answer carefully. Just don't answer at all.
He guesses. All right, Amy.
I'm not saying it's not. I just think that this is funny. Somebody made a really funny point about cheerleading. And I don't remember who it was. It may have been some late night talk show host, but they were saying how the two teams this year in the Super Bowl don't have cheerleaders, like professional. And they said, oh no, how will they ever have someone, how will they ever win the game without someone saying, go? Oh my God. Look at that face.
Okay.
That does not make it not a sport.
Oh, okay. Explain to me why cheerleading is a sport.
Because it's competitive. You can compete in it just like you compete in basketball. There's two teams. There's cheerleading competition.
Sport.
You have to like lift people in the air and stuff. Okay, and the fact that you're lifting people that weigh 100, 150 pounds above your head. You're throwing them in the air.
Now the last 20 times I've seen cheerleaders, ain't one. You can't put them all together and get 150 pounds.
Oh well, I'm telling you, I've lifted some 150-pound girls.
What about the people who build that building every day? They pick bricks up and put them there. Does that make that a sport?
But they're not competing.
They're not tumbling.
They actually are competing. They're competing against the clock.
Yeah.
Because if they get finished.
But not for a trophy.
You train for school.
Or a ring,
so does taking a test is that a sport?
Hey, but then if you just want to say that, you can go, well, what about them outdoor games? Is that really a sport? Because
what outdoor games?
The outdoor games, the professional outdoor games where they cut the logs and stuff. We're talking about throwing them bricks up in there.
That's not a sport.
How is that not a sport? That is a sport. Outdoor games.
I mean, your head
That's like the only
for
sport.
it,
Basketball,
baby.
football, and baseball.
You have
The
to
big
work
three.
out. You
The
have to
big
make
three.
a shape.
Soccer.
Barely.
See, gymnastics is a sport, and that's a version of
Baseball is in there, but I'm just
kind
on
of.
the
What about gymnastics? Around them Olympics.
I wasn't saying it wasn't. I just thought that was kind of a.
I will say this for this argument. I have no problem with considering cheerleading a sport because it is very athletic. But I will say that cheerleaders were formed for teams. They cheered for a team. That's where it all began. So had it not been for football or basketball, probably it started with football, you wouldn't have had cheerleaders.
Cheerleaders are just excited fans.
But hasn't all sports really spawned from another sport?
They have.
They're fans in uniform.
All sports, they're fans in uniforms.
Yeah, but
I want to put you in uniform, let you do some of that.
That's what I'm talking about. Get in the uniform.
hey, you cheer for me.
I didn't cheer for you, that's right.
Well, actually, you didn't cheer for me. I was on the bench.
And I played most sports offered at CCA. Basketball, volleyball,
Softball
softball.
and cheerleading.
Cheerleading is
Canasta.
very aggressive. It's very hard because you have, especially at competition, you have 2 minutes. You work all year for a 2-minute routine. And it's a make or break.
That is true.
Say with gymnastics, you have one chance.
She was
You
very
get one
ill.
chance to make a certain
Very,
score.
very ill during those times.
And it's like a continuous. There's no when you're running in basketball, oh, I think I'm going to take a break. No, you have to keep going.
For 2 minutes, that's it.
Yeah,
Then you stop.
But you're cheering, you're moving, you're jumping, you're tumbling, you're throwing girls in the air.
You're screaming, you're yelling, you're.
It's not just
Oh my.
the girl in the way. It's not just let me pick the girl up. I mean, there is like technique to it. The girl has to like hold her body in a certain
Hey,
way.
you have to have good coordination too, because if you do this, it does not.
Well, if that's the case, what are we going to call a sport? What's defined as a sport?
I think a sport is anything that involves physical. You have to be an athletic type person, and I mean, I think
I got
that
a dictionary.
I think that.
I say you get a scholarship if you're Native American.
I know. You get a scholarship if you're a minority. You get a scholarship if you're have a sibling. You get a scholarship if your parents were in the military. You get a scholarship if your great-great-grandparents were in the military. You can get a scholarship for anything.
I understand that, but this is counted as an athletic scholarship, not like a minority or a grades or scholarship. It's counted as athletic.
Sport, any recreational activity specific, a game, competition, etc., requiring bodily exertion.
Okay. Zeke is considered chess a sport. Chess.
You have to exert.
Yeah,
You got to exert to move that
You
pawn.
have to exert.
Chess.
Chess.
Fine, I consider it a sport.
Okay.
You don't.
Yes,
You
I
do not consider it a sport. You're just trying to say that so people will agree with that cheerleading is a sport.
You have to exert your mind
Nope,
for chess.
I agree it's a sport. It might not be as aggressive as cheerleading, but cheerleading might not be aggressive as, what's a really hard sport? I don't know.
Gymnastics.
Gymnastics. Rugby. Swimming.
Hey, do you consider
Mixed martial arts.
Do you consider the people that do gymnastics in the Olympics? You consider them athletics?
Absolutely, I do.
Gymnastics.
He didn't say sports, folks. He said athletic.
Hey, gymnastics people are not fans. Cheerleaders are fans.
There are some. I'll say this. There are some. There are
That's
some.
it.
Who are competitive cheerleaders?
Hey, I will remind you, she's got Native American blood in her. She will.
Hey, there are some cheerleaders that are separate from schools.
Yeah.
They are.
They like.
Well, then who do they cheer for?
Competitive sports.
Their self.
Cheer for themselves? Do they
Go
cheer for
us.
themselves?
They're competing just like a dance team or a gymnastics.
Go us! Well, why don't they call it a dance
No.
team? Why don't they call it synchronized cheer dancing? I don't know.
Yeah, but you know, I will say that when Webster was around, there weren't cheerleaders.
No.
So someone else put that definition in there.
I bet a woman put that.
You're right.
I bet a cheerleader put that in.
But
Cheerleaders don't know.
So is it defined as a sport?
it's what defined as a
I'm
sport.
just kidding, Bridget. I love.
Unless they get a scholarship in something else.
I was just teasing. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, you said cheerleaders aren't smart
I
enough
think
for
sports.
cheerleaders.
No, I didn't.
Sports
They don't know what
defined
cheerleaders
as
are.
what
Sammy, I'm a cheerleader too.
Spelling bee. ESPN covers spelling bee, so that's a sport. Okay.
Yeah.
What about history? Y'all said history.
Okay. Cheerleader is defined as a leader of cheers as at football games.
But that's not cheerleading. That's like a football
That's
player.
the definition of cheerleader. A leader of cheers.
Well, what's the definition of a player? What's the definition of a player?
Definition of a player. Kenny Martin's a player.
A cheerleader is just a part of cheerleading, just like a football player is a part of football.
Well, okay, so if it's a part of cheerleader, and if the definition of cheerleader is a leader of cheers, and cheerleader is a part of cheerleading, then wouldn't cheerleading be leading of cheers?
Leading? Did you say that? Leading?
What is a football player? What is a football player?
Someone who plays the sport of football?
Someone that runs the ball.
Oh, you gotta get a better definition.
Yeah, y'all don't want to get into football.
You're right, I have no
Somebody plays the sport of football.
We can narrow all the sports down, actually.
Can we? Can we?
Basketball, you just one hoop.
You just. That's all you do. You just put it in the hoop. That's all there is to it.
You dodge players, you travel it, and then you put it in the hoop.
Oh.
You can
Don't
probably take.
travel.
I guarantee you can probably take
Bad.
everything that cheerleading does, and everything out of basketball, and everything out of football, and everything out of soccer. They all do the same stuff.
That's true.
A player is defined as one who plays in a specific game.
Cheerleading has lots of
Yeah.
rules. Lots of rules.
Bridget, don't come at
I never will forget that time they threw a 15-yard penalty on the cheerleader.
So does, hey,
In competition, you can't go outside a certain boundary. You have a time limit.
Hey,
There's certain stunts you can't
the
do.
United States Constitution has a lot of rules, but that don't mean it's a sport.
He just went political. He just went political.
Wait a minute.
No sense. It's a competition with rules.
Let me finish reading it, because there's lots of definitions for this. Okay.
Justin, is racing a sport?
Yes.
What makes it a sport?
It takes more endurance to do a race than any other sport.
And you
Other than running.
compete. You compete. There's rules.
Competition. Did we already read
Are you
this?
saying racing's not a sport, Ryan? Is racing a sport?
Oh, Ryan.
I'm not going to answer that.
He's looking at me for me to give him a nod, yay or nay. I'm done.
I think racing is a sport.
Racing is a sport.
That's right. When you get out there and you're running,
out there and driver was 8 pounds a race.
But you got to rely on a car.
Yeah, I think it's as much of a sport as cheerleading is.
So I think Ryan just said racing's not a sport. That's what I just got from that. Okay, all right, enough of this. Cheerleading is a sport and Jesus wins. All right, go G. Anyway, so it's our first night together, and obviously we need to split up again because we're going to fight, it looks like.